Hello and welcome to this space. So today I wanted to share some of the books that I have read that I really like, that I continue to use everything that I learned in those books today. Um, so um, Sometimes I get questions about if there was a book that you would recommend, what would that book be? And sometimes it's really difficult to choose one or two. But for these ones that I'm going to talk about today, I have read them more than once. As somebody who wears many hats, as a mom, wife, career woman, daughter, sister, friend, you don't have a lot of time. But for these books that I'm going to talk about, they literally change the way I lead. They change the way I think, and the skills or the tips that I learned from those books, I still use them today. So let's get into it. So the first one that I wanted to talk about is The Speed of Trust by Franklin Covey. So I don't have the hard copy version of The Speed of Trust. I have it on my iPad, but I have these trust cards that came with the hard copy that I bought. My colleague at work has borrowed my hard copy, but these cards came with the book, and this is great. I really like this because it has all the things that you want to be thinking about on different cards. And sometimes it's like really easy to just pick it up and then refresh my memory using this. So it talks about the four cores of credibility, and the book talks about how credibility is um, the foundation of establishing trust. So if you don't have credibility, you don't deliver on what you say you will do. You don't do you're not delivering on your role. You're not performing. It's difficult to build trust. So building trust starts with credibility, building your credibility. And it talks about, so these cards, if you look at this one, for instance, it talks about, are you congruent? Integrity is deep honesty and truthfulness. It is who we really are. It includes congruence, humility, and courage. And then it talks about each of them. So congruence is to live in harmony with your deepest values and beliefs. Um, and you walk the talk. You say what you're going to do, and you do what you say you would do. So Speed of Trust by Franklin Covey. Love this book. It changed the way that I thought about influencing and building credibility and trust, not just professionally, but also in my personal life. So this, um, you should absolutely read that. The second book that I wanted to talk about is Winning Minds, um, by Simon Lancaster. It's called Winning Minds: Secrets from the Language of Leadership, and I'll put I'll share the details of it in the description box. But this book, um, it was my husband who introduced me to this book. This is actually my second copy of the book. The first copy that I had, I had many things written in it, and I recommended it to a friend who was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like amazing," and I ended up gifting it to the person. So this is my second book. I have it all marked up. The other one was all marked up. This book talks about it's more around communication, but it really is also about leadership, and it talks about how we have to be intentional in our communication, and it shows you simple things, at least the structure of engaging with people, in terms of ethos, pathos, logos, which is really how credible are you, how are you emotionally connecting with people, and do people really trust you and believe what you're saying. But what I like about this book is that Simon Lancaster is a speechwriter. So he talks about this book from a perspective of how to connect with an audience. And I this book is amazing. You know, sometimes when you're listening to a leader who is so stuck up, or or you're listening to somebody who is so rigid, and you cannot connect with that person, this book, um, you know, I'm a natural introvert, but this book helped me to, think about how I can connect with other people in a way that does not feel disingenuous, doesn't feel like myself. I cannot be your average extrovert. So, simple things that you can do um, to better communicate and connect with people. I love this. The last one that I wanted to talk about is actually not a book. Harvard Business Review. So I love learning about new things like research and what are people doing these days, and things that worked 5 years ago are probably not working right now if you've lived through the pandemic like all of us. Things are changing, and so I stay up to date with Harvard Business Review. It's a great investment in yourself. I don't get the hard copies, every time. I just signed up for the every other um, um, issue. That's what I signed up for. But I have access to the online library. You have access to do research and look at what is out there. For instance, this is the March April edition, and it talks about how to change anyone's mind, practical approach to persuasion. There's also designing the hybrid office. We all know that I've been working from home for more than 12 months now. So a lot of people are thinking about moving into a hybrid office where some people work from home, some people also go into the office, or people have the option to do whichever. It's in here. What leaders can do to drive sales, how venture capitalists make decisions. The reason I like Harvard Business Review is that sometimes I read about things that I didn't even think that I would be reading about, right? So I'm in the mining industry, I'm a leader, I'm a mom. There are some hats that I wear that, I could, read about those hats. But this helps me to think about tech, or to think about, I would never really pick something and decide to read about venture capitalists. So it just broadens my knowledge, and I just like that. It challenges me to inform myself about things that I would not normally choose to inform myself about. So that one is not a book, but a really good one, that I try to use to stay abreast with what is happening, and the new ways of doing things. So I hope this helped you. Feel free to share your own, the books that you really love, the ones that you have learned things that you're still using, in the comments with me. Thank you for joining the space.